Let's Run Programs.
You don't have to write your own programs for the Commodore 64. There are lots and lots of programs available of all sorts. There are word processors, there are business program, games, languages, and all sorts of special activities. Largely the ones that you buy come in three forms. First kind of form is in a ROM pack. This came, for example, Seawolf. Inside the package is a tiny little ROM pack containing extra memory inside the computer. We plug this in the back, and when we do, the computer becomes a new and different kind of machine. Let's turn the computer off for a moment, which you must do when you're plugging in a ROM pack. After all, you're connecting new circuitry into the computer. We turn it back on again, and instantly the computer has the new images from Seawolf on its screen. As you can see, it didn't take any special commands. The moment we turned it on, the computer knew it was a new machine. The machine had been almost rebuilt by plugging in the ROM pack here. Let's turn this off for a moment. It would be fun to play the game, but we want to talk about the second way that programs can come pre-packaged or pre-available for you. If you have a data set, you can get a program on cassette tape. Let's put this cassette tape program into the computer. And in this case, when we turn the computer on, the easiest way to start a cassette program running is to hold down the Shift key here and press Run Stop. Oddly enough, it should be the Shift key closest to the Run Stop. The other one doesn't seem to work so well. So we hold on Shift, we tap Run Stop, and now we see instructions on the screen. Press play on tape. Well, here's the data set tape, and we see here's a play button, so we press it, and the computer says OK, and then almost instantly the screen blanks. This doesn't mean any kind of failure on the computer. It's simply the computer has shut the screen off so that it can watch tape more carefully. In a few seconds, it will have found this program on tape. It says found roots. That's not genealogy, that's square roots. And we press the Commodore key to say, OK, go and get it. So what we have now is, by pressing the Commodore key, the program has loaded itself into the computer, and it has run. Here is a table of square roots from 1 to 20 printed on the screen. The program came from cassette tape, this one here. It's now, however, copied into the memory of the machine. I've taken the tape out. Is the program gone? No, it's still in random access memory. How can I prove it? I'll say run again. R-U-N. The program's still in memory, and when I press the return key to say, let's run it, there goes the program again. There's another table of square roots. So the program, once in memory, can be run many, many times. That's another way that you can get a program into the computer. Let's talk about a third way. Here we have some educational programs put out by Commodore, and in here we have a program which is on disk. This is a program of educational science programs. Let's plug this one into the disk drive here. We push it in this way, shiny side forward, label towards the back. We push down the little door so that it's securely in place. And now what we have to do is to, I better turn the disk on. Let me do that first of all. Turn the disk on. Now we'll plug this diskette in, and now we go over to the computer and say, bring in this program from disk. Now to do that, we must type in a command called load, L-O-A-D. That always means bring a program into memory, into random access memory in the disk. Now we have to say which program. There are many programs on this disk, and we really should say which one. In fact, there's a little pamphlet comes along with this disk telling you what happens to be on this disk. But at the moment, if you don't know, here's a good tip for you. Instead of giving a name, just give a name of an asterisk. So I'll say load, which I've already typed, and then in quotation marks I'll type asterisk to say the first program, whatever it happens to be, and then behind that we'll say comma 8, which means from disk. When we typed it in, it looks correct on the screen. Then we can press return, which is to do it. And here comes the program from disk. Now this is quite a large program. It's a fairly big educational program with animation, and so it will take a few seconds to come in. But you'll notice the difference between this and tape. First of all, the screen did not blank. Second of all, I have to give a name. I don't have to one tape because a tape might just have one program on it, or it will take the first one to come up. But the disk might have dozens of programs, and I often have to say which one. I snuck around it this time by saying the first one, but you often need to know what's on disk and which program to select. You can take it from the information that comes with disk, or in fact there's a way of asking the disk what's on this particular disk, and you'll get something called a directory or a catalog. Well, the program is now ready from disk, and that's pretty fast for a really big program. And now if we say run, what we see on the screen is the first display saying Commodore Educational Software. Press the space bar. Here we go. We'll press the space bar, and now we're going to begin a program called Boyle's Law. So this has to do with gas pressure, and we'll press the 1 key, and the computer will say, well, it draws a little picture of an amount of air trapped by a piston, okay? Give us instructions, tell us what we want to do, ask us what we want to do next. We'll press the space bar, it will ask us to set the pressure, but for the moment, we don't want to run this thing. Our objective here is not to learn about Boyle's Law, but to learn about how we load programs. So we'll say, we don't want to do that, we'd rather quit, and we'll take option 4 that says give up. And then, whoops, type it in again. There we go. I was typing too fast. And the program is over. Now, just because I've stopped the program doesn't mean it's lost from memory. Let me review again. Except for cartridges which start to run almost immediately you put them in, there are 2 steps in making a program go. First, bringing it in. That calls for a load command, L-O-A-D. And secondly, once it's in, saying run. That is a command which says, whatever has arrived in memory, do it. Do this collection of instructions called a program. Now, we've stopped the program to show Boyle's Law, but we could do it again. We could say, run, and since the program is still in memory, just because it's stopped doesn't mean it's gone away. If I press run and do it again, as I did with the cassette tape program, do you remember roots? The program will run again, and we'll get the same titling back. Now, apart from the programs that you can get commercially, you can also get programs in this form on disk, on cassette tape, from other sources, from clubs and from friends and from users. Many programs are generally available, are public domain. You won't have any problem getting them, but there are other sources you can go to if you want programs. For example, there are many books containing programs. If we pick up books here, we'll find that there are all sorts of programs for doing various things typed into the computer, and we could type in these program instructions and the program would run. Similarly, even the Commodore 64 User's Guide, the one that comes packed in the box, contains programs that we may type into the computer and gives us examples of how we can make certain things happen. Let's see if we can find one here. Here's a program, for example, down this one. If we type in these instructions, then, and say run, we'll have a program in our computer. In fact, we have plenty of books of this sort, and we also have many magazines. Some are published monthly, some not quite so often, which contain many, many programs of various things. All of these magazines are published with plenty of programs, and we can take these various magazines, put in the programs, and eventually we'll have a running program by typing these in. Now, one thing I'd like to point out to you, however, is these programs are pretty big. If you take a program like this one, for example, which is for the 64, it starts on this page and then continues through all of these pages through. You can see that's a lot of typing. Now, it's probably a very good game program, so you'll probably have quite a good time playing the game once you've typed it all in. But typing in that huge amount of material means a couple of problems. First of all, a lot of rather careful work. And secondly, possibly a couple of mistakes that you'll have to look for and correct if the program doesn't run correctly. Now, that's okay. It's a good game. You spend a lot of time. You type it in. You run it. You say, what a wonderful game. But if you shut the computer off, the program's gone. There's nothing left. And the next time you turn your computer on, the next day or the next week or whatever, and you want to do that program again, guess what? You'd have to type it all in again. Well, you don't have to. There's a way, once you have typed or entered a program into the computer, and once it's ready and running reasonably well, you can then copy it onto cassette tape or onto floppy disk and then bring the program back anytime you want to. We call that copying save. In other words, we can tell the computer once a program is ready, save that program onto cassette tape, save that program onto floppy disk, and the program will be there, and then we won't have to type it in the next time. We can just call it up from where we have placed it in storage. Now there's one other way you can get a program, apart from buying it, getting it on disc or tape, or typing it in from a magazine, and that is, you can write a program yourself. But to do that, we'll have to talk a little more about what a program really is. And we'll do that next time.